Hello, how are we doing, sir?
We're doing just fine.
A debut album is always a major milestone in a band's timeline. But considering that you guys have already seen it all by now, so what are the levels of excitement, in the band right now when it comes to As Daylight Breaks?
Oh, I think it's interesting that you're asking me about excitement. I told somebody else this that I'm not a very excitable person. Uh, so I'm going like, yeah, Mario always makes fun of me because he brings the best news, and I'm going like, yeah, cool. And Mario tells me like, that's so urban, and it doesn't mean that I'm not happy about the news he brings. And I'm like, yeah, that's good. And it's just that I don't get like all worked up and go like, yeah, let's do this. It's more like, okay, cool. That's good stuff. Whereas the upside to this is of course it brings you bad news. I'm going like, yeah, all right, that's the way it is. So more of an even keeled kind of thing. But as far as your question though, because I mean, even though I might not get like all worked up and jumping around, screaming and shouting of joy, I
Mhm.
will say that the point of excitement here is seeing what we can come up with in as short a time as we had to do it too, because we needed to have this out in time for the tour. So
Right.
you're looking at what we have and what we put in and seeing what comes out of it. And I think most of the excitement, it really comes from seeing, oh, the potential. So I
Right.
mean, I think we're all really looking forward to the next album already. So
Wow.
that's something I want. Like, yeah, I mean, if we can do this under this kind of pressure, then with the next one we can probably produce a true masterpiece that will blow all our minds away.
That's
So
wonderful. Now, for now, I Seek No Other Life is a song which has been presented to your fans and gives us a lot of thumping melodic sound. So, how have your fans responded to the track so far?
well, I think it's been favorable for the most part. And of course, you take one song like I Seek No Other Life, it's very to the point and focused. So if that song doesn't happen to be, to somebody's particular taste,
Hmm.
then that is probably not going to be the greatest thing ever. But I don't think they're going to hate it. And I think people like it a lot. And those that don't, I don't really worry about it because there's other. I mean, there's a lot more to this album than that one song. So you'll find a great width of material. It's not like every song is going to sound like this. Of course, if that is your favorite flavor and you want an album filled up with songs like that, then that might be disappointing. However, the songs that do have that flavor will be, for you, for that person, that kind of a listener. The others will fill up a different space, and it might actually, look at it in the long run, we'll be building up a big library of different types of songs. So there'll be lots of faster numbers in the future as well.
Now, I can give a little bit of insight to the fans who are expecting, what's going to be there in the album. Now, I had an opportunity to, listen to your album in its entirety, and I have to say that, it's there's a lot of power metal madness in this. I mean, the track, like I said, I Seek No Other Life. Then we have High and Low, My Mystic Mind. Then you give that sudden change and get into that softer side, like Sealing My Fate, and especially the title track as well, which is a slow ballad. So how amazing it is to see that you guys fuse so many different variations into just one album, which in the current market trend, many metal bands don't do that.
Yeah, and I would like to point out that this is an interesting thing that you mentioned the title track is Daylight Breaks. I would like to point out that the person that wrote this is Toman, our drummer. He
Awesome.
wrote the song, and I said, "This is beautiful." He asked me if I could do something with the melody he had, and I said, "With just a few changes and not much at all." And I just needed to tweak the lyrics really to make sure that it was something that I could connect to. And I hardly even touched the melody. It was very beautiful. I said, "You left space for me to breathe. You did all this right." And he was like, "Oh, really?" So he was very happy. I didn't change hardly anything. It's a beautiful song. I love it. And like you said, it adds depth to the album. It does.
Absolutely. Now that comes, to question to for me to understand that how open are you guys when it comes to experimenting with the sound?
Oh, I don't know if we don't even really think about it.
Hmm.
We brought in a lot of ideas. We just worked on the ones that we kind of liked.
Hmm.
That's so if I brought in a song, there were a number of songs I brought in that people would, someone would go like, "Hey, I like this one, let's do it," but everybody else would go like, "Ah, I'm not so sure." Then we just left that to the side, and the same thing went from everybody else and that they sent in. So we just worked on the songs that we found that there was something that hooked us all, and so that's how it went. And so I guess in that respect, yes, we're pretty open because it doesn't really matter what kind of genre we would sort of put the song in. If we liked it, we worked on it, and that's how it is.
Absolutely. Now, like you said earlier, that the second album is going to be a masterpiece. But
oh yes, I just set myself up for failure here, didn't I? No. I really think the next one will be fantastic.
Awesome. Now, the reason why I want to point it forward is because a debut album is usually in a space where the band is still discovering their sound. Now, when it comes to this album, As Daylight Breaks, how about, I mean, what do you think is the situation in the band? I mean, has the band figured out what direction you guys are going to go forward?
I doubt it. No. I think in a sense, in the most important sense, we know which direction we're going, and that's working as a team. So team-wise, we know how to do things, and we're learning how to work with each other. Because I mean, to know someone for a while, that's one thing. To actually work with a person, if you ever had a friend, and you're working a regular workplace.
Right.
And you bring him in to work with you. All of a sudden, that friendship can break because you realize you can't really work with the guy. You're great friends for as long as you don't have to work together. But working together, that's a different animal. True. And if you find that, sometimes it's easier to work with someone you don't really like, as a person, because you just work well together. And so that's part of the discovery here. Is like finding out how to work with each other, and we went into this well prepared, and we had a good method to make sure that because we're strong-willed people, and we have our opinions, and it's not like we feel like I can't tell Roland what to play, and he can't tell me what to sing, and you try telling Toman that his drumming sucks. You'll be proven wrong in no time. So there is that.
It's all about mutual understanding. I mean, you guys don't have to pinpoint each other, but it's all about the understanding you guys have together as a band.
Yeah, I mean that's really what it is, and how this is going forward as a team. That's what we know, and that works out fine. Exactly what the next album is going to sound like, we have no idea. I mean, we're looking at what we have on this album. I'm pretty sure we're gonna take elements from it. I mean, we're not gonna throw out a jazz album the next time.
Right.
That's for sure. We'll build on this, but exactly what we're gonna have, I don't know.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Now, coming to the band's songwriting process, how does that work? I mean, who takes the initiative, and how does it build up till the final product is available?
I think that some of these things were, like jammed together in, rehearsal kind of situation. However, even when that's the case, what normally has happened is that some member has had an idea beforehand that they bring in, and then you just work on that. To everybody else in the band, it seems like, yeah, we're just jamming, but the person that had this idea to begin with is really guiding the situation.
Right.
That's true for part of this album. The other half of the album is, we all brought in songs we'd already written, and we reworked them to suit the band, to fit, everybody. So there were songs that I brought in that I had intended for my solo album, and we changed them.
Yeah.
Some of the songs did not turn out to my liking. Others got a lot better, and so they're included on the album. And that's how it went with everybody's contributions. We took a song and we started working on it, and the person that initially wrote it said that this is not quite right. Then we took it out and stuck it to the side, and in some cases we reworked it and made it so that they were happy with it, or other times they just got to keep it to do something else with it.
Right. I completely agree with that. Now, I hate to use a word like supergroup, because for me it makes no sense. But for you, even though people will call you a supergroup, but it's always exciting for fans to see how all these different musicians come together and on one platform and come up with an album. So we have Sirius Black, 6 awesome members who already have, an individual fan following, which means 6 times more fans and 6 times more excitement. So how did this band come together?
Well, I think first of all, we probably have some overlap already. So I don't think it's fair to say 6 times more fans because we have plenty of overlap. So, but
Right.
that doesn't matter. How it come to how this thing comes together is that you need to have one member with this initial vision, and we had that. It's Mario, hardworking, and he started. I think he's written this somewhere that he started talking to Roland and Toman, and he brought in member after member,
Right.
and I was the final piece. So I have the least to say. I have no vote. No,
But
no,
but
I'm joking. I'm
but
joking. So
your voice definitely has taken the album on, just another level.
well, thank you. It's a terrible level, isn't it? That's what you're
No,
trying to
no,
say.
come on, it's not. It's a very interesting level because we power metal fans have that tinge of how the vocals are going to sound on those amazing rhythmic tracks. Now it can either make a track or it can even break a track. So, but I feel so happy and so comfortable listening to to your voice on this album, and it kind of made this journey sound really, really good.
Well, thank you. And I do take great pride in actually working hard on the vocal parts, and try to make sure that they go well with every song and the core theme and the feel of the song. I don't try to force a certain style onto it because that's what I do best. So
Right.
uh, I try to work it the other way around. I try to find a way to sing the song that maybe I haven't done before, but
Hmm.
I think that's what it needs. And so that's a little bit of it's a hard process because it's trial and error. I haven't done this
True.
before. Let's try it. Let's see what goes. But there are songs that it's a little interesting that where I go from. I think it's the titles are someone else's life. But no. Hang on. It's sealing my fate actually for the second
Okay.
verse. I move through four different techniques really for singing in just 2 lines.
Oh
So I go
wow.
from one and I'm more from there. And that's an interesting thing to do. It's just because I wanted to do that. I thought it needed it. It might have been too much. I don't know. I like it.
No,
That's
no,
how I wanted it.
it was a good change. I mean, even on the title track, it actually gives that more softer side of the band and makes it sound even more interesting. Like it's like a Panzer. The first few tracks come in with the speed, and then we have that slow, groovy stuff coming in. It kind of gives a good break, and that variation is always welcomed as a fan.
Well, you can't just play the one thing. I mean, one-dimensional music is boring in the end. And if
Absolutely.
everything sounds the same, then you're kind of like a one-trick pony. That's not a
Right.
good thing. That's not a good thing.
True. Now, how seriously do you consider critics? I mean, you've been there, you've seen it all happening. So when it comes to reviews of the albums, which I assume might have already been out or would be out in few weeks, so how seriously do you consider them? Is it more like you take positives out of it, or you just don't care about it? Because in the end, what matters for you is whether you are happy or not with the music.
Well, what it is I would like to say first of all, I pretty much read all the reviews I can get my hands on
Hmm.
because I think it's an interesting read, and but I can't. I mean, if I have two choices, either I choose to believe all of it
Hmm.
or none of it. So
Okay.
because I mean, because if someone says this is the greatest thing ever and all of these parts are just perfect, and then somebody else says that it's pretty good, but man, I think the vocal approach is bad. If I choose to believe the first, I also have to believe the second.
Right.
So it's like, but no, I mean, I make up my own mind first. I mean, I know what I think of my performance. I know what I think is done to the best of my abilities, and I know what I think might perhaps could use a bit of improvement.
True.
But that's not really the point. The point after I'm done, I mean, that's my work. That's what I
Right.
do.
That's
That's stuff that I need to look at. I look at it, and I'm supposed to take that with me and have that in mind for the next album.
right. Right. Completely
I,
agree
I,
with that.
what's on this album now is on this album,
Right.
and all I really hope for it to do is to make somebody else's life richer.
Yeah.
That's all I can hope for. That's all I can hope for. That
True.
someone takes one of these songs to heart and that it maybe, cheer you up on a bad day, or give you energy to do something cool.
It's gonna
But no,
satisfy. It's gonna satisfy you as musicians that you're connecting, with your fans when it comes to music.
yes. I mean, you may make the argument that yes, would I like to see a monetary reward for this? Oh, absolutely, that would help me immensely. But I don't really count on it. And so, what I really want to see is that whatever all the hard work I put into it, that it actually pays off in such a way that it helps somebody else.
Right.
In fact, if I hadn't gotten some response from people that have listened to my
Hmm.
singing over the years, people that tell me that, man, this song really helped me through some hard times, I'm like, if I hadn't gotten that, feedback,
Right.
I would probably have quit today.
Hmm.
So because then it would feel kind of pointless. Because I mean, I can make a living doing something that's not so emotionally
Right.
hard. Because it really is, when you're done, you're drained. I mean, I try to. I mean, it might not really seem like most of these songs are all that close to my heart, but they are. And I may hide some parts in there a little bit that you might not really realize that this is really very personal, but it
True.
is.
Awesome. Now, what about playing these tracks live? Because ultimately, the goal of the musician is to unleash the material live. So, you have a European tour coming up in support of the album. So, excited, looking forward to see all, six amazing members on stage.
But yeah, we're gonna run into each other constantly. Uh,
Mhm.
now that was a stupid joke, a really stupid joke. I make them all the time. Uh, I was gonna say that like you said, ultimately, I'm not sure that this is true for everybody, but ultimately that's what should be the truth. That
Right.
you write the songs, you record the album, and you take them on the road. You play it live, and we are very much looking forward to it. And it's like we have yet to do this live in front of an audience together. So
Mhm.
we've done the album now. That's the first thing we've done. We're looking
Right.
forward to the next part, but it's going to be just as much of a discovery for us as it's going to be to our audience,
Right.
because the first show we did together, that's when we really realized how we work together on the stage. Because you can rehearse on the stage with all the props and everything you have on there, you know and it's not the same. It's how we work together as a unit,
True.
together with a crowd. That's really the true test, and that's what we know how we work. I'm pretty sure we're gonna do just spectacularly well. I think it's going to work. Uh,
Awesome. And
that's
that
what I
that
think.
brings me to the question of when will we fans here in India will have an honor of seeing you guys live?
Oh, I have no idea. Uh, you're asking the wrong person for this. That would be Mario is the master of keeping track of times and dates and where we're going.
Mhm.
India does not. I've never been to India, so I would love to go there. And do you have like a great big festival somewhere
Yes,
sometime?
yes, we do have. We have around 3 to 4 festivals happening every year.
Uh, then might I suggest that you get in touch with Mario and tell him where we should play?
Cool, that's awesome because very few power metal bands have come to India, even though the market here is very good when it comes to, heavy metal in general. But, we are not lucky like Europeans and United States that people get to see all their, the favorite bands live. But whoever ultimately comes down to India, it's always an honor for us to see them live. And I hope to see you as well, very soon.
I think it would be an honor for us to play there too. So I do believe we're scheduled to play somewhere in China. Maybe we can make a stop in India before.
Awesome. That'll really be good because you are already very close to the country, and then it can, the touring schedule can also be planned out really well. So I'll definitely get in touch with Mario and see how we can, make it happen.
Yes, I think that sounds like a good idea.
Cool. Now you've seen it, the way music has changed over the years, and now we have something like crowdfunding, which is, coming into this particular market. So, how about you? What's your opinion on let's say having a possible crowdfunding campaign for Sirius Black, or let's say for any of your own projects?
Um, I like the concept of crowdfunding, and as you know, I'm a little bit of a Marillion fan, so I've seen it from when it sort of first started. The tricky thing is with crowdfunding is, of course, that as in anything else, you really need to have a good fan base to begin with, because if
Right.
people don't know that you are out there, you won't really have much of a crowd to fund whatever you're doing.
True.
However, I also think that while I do like the concept, I do hope that we don't have to resort to it, because I think it's better for us to actually make the product and have have it ready, and then you can pay for it. That's probably
Mhm.
the better option.
Absolutely. No, it's really great to see, a new project like Serious Black get signed to AFM Records, because I've been working with AFM from almost last 2 years, and it's always been an honor to see these amazing new bands, new projects, and a label like AFM giving them a platform is a really, really good decision.
Yes, yes, I think so, and which is also why we were absolutely fine with signing a multi-album deal with AFM, because we felt like that we're putting our trust in them, and so we also want, we think, I definitely think that that they're showing us that they believe in us, and so we'd like to show them that we put our trust in them, they put their trust in us,
Trust in you.
and we
Mhm.
want to make sure that they can see that their trust was not misplaced. So,
Right. Now, before I conclude the interview, I have to ask you this question to let's say define the debut album As Daylight Breaks in just one sentence.
oh, oh,
Always an interesting way to end an amazing interview.
it's a nice way to really challenge the the subject of the interview.
Right.
Let's see here. How do I? Of course, to me, it's like a 14-track album. I bet the standard issue has got 11 tracks, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to think of that. Well, as daylight breaks,
Hmm.
it's an album full of diversity. I think diversity defines the album a little bit. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, Urban Breed, thank you very much for doing this interview.